The screencast has started. Please be aware that everything you type in the chat box is being transcribed at the end of each Zoom meeting. Just a reminder. If you just joined us, um, please type your name in the chat box and do the L1.1 interleave review in Schoology. Okay. You don't have to share your cameras on right now. I have my video on spotlight, so meaning um, you're stuck with my face, in other words. Okay, it's for your protection, so none of your video gets caught in the screencast. Hello, Abraham. Welcome. Um, we do need to catch up on a lot of stuff if today's your first day, but I don't want to overwhelm you with everything. Let's do one step at a time. How about for now, you open your week 2 folder in Schoology. Um, Let me make sure that's the one I'm sharing right now. So in Schoology, there's a week 2 folder, and your classmates are doing the L1.1 interleave review, polygons and proportions. Okay. And then if today is your first day or you guys have a lot of questions, Mondays are designed for support. So support and intervention. We're not going to teach new lessons on Mondays. That's what we were told. But to help you guys with anything that you need content wise. So I strongly suggest waiting till then. Mhm. Do I make the online notebook? Um, you will download that. Uh-huh. But can we talk about that later? And I'll explain to you later on once we need it. Thank you so much, honey. Please do your warm up. Um, we're not in the graphic organizer yet, honey. We're just doing the interleave review, polygons, and proportions. So just click on this one. Sorry for the background noise. Can I give you 2 more minutes? Thank you for letting me know, Madeline. I want you to do your best for the first attempt. And I don't know if you've noticed, but you get another try, right? So after 2 minutes, we'll go over some of the examples or some of the questions, but not all. Okay, and then later on, after we have the Q&A, you guys will have your second attempt. Hmm. Thank you. All right, time is up. Time is up. Sorry to cut your time short, but okay, so I'm anticipating more questions about question number two than question number one, right? Okay, so um, I'm going to share a whiteboard with you. Let me open a new class to do that. Unfortunately, we can't have like the same whiteboard all semester long. And what I'm going to ask you to do is you will, what do you call this? You will choose one problem that you guys want to share. You will write it on your whiteboard. And, we're going to share it with the whole class. So that way, let me just close this room and create a new one. So you can pick any number that you want. Um, let's see what's in the chat. I thought it was 1:15. Oh, okay. It's 1:05. It's 5 minutes right after the homeroom period. I personally um, would prefer that it's at 1:15 because I do have two homeroom periods. I don't have a whiteboard account thing. Okay, about the whiteboard, you don't have to have an account. So pretty much every time you use it, I have to create a new whiteboard one. So don't worry about it. The only code that you need is the code for the Delta Math because that's where you guys will do your individual work sometimes. But for whiteboard, don't worry about it. If you see something like a Nearpod, don't even worry about it. So I use those for like live interaction, just like what we're gonna do now. So what I would like you to do is, okay, my computer is a little slow today. Um, okay, so I sent a whiteboard link in the chat. Some students their feedback um, their feedback said that they found it more convenient to use on their phones because they could write with their fingers instead of writing with their mouse. So if you guys would like to do that, go ahead and try that one too. Thanks, Jacob. That's the code. Uh-huh. All right. No worries. Yep. You can use the chat for any productive way you can think of. Just, don't type in unnecessary stuff because the LAUSD's default is they're transcribing everything in the chat. So, mhm. Okay, so using any of the 6 questions in question number 2. So, what do you type? You're going to pick one question to share with the whole class. So, these are the questions. Let me make sure that I'm sharing the right screen. Okay. All right. So, these are the 6 questions in question number 2. So, what I would like you to do is um, share any of the 6 numbers. Share the item that you were probably most confident about. So if you are using the whiteboard on your phone, some students, just took a picture of their paperwork or scratch paper, and then just uploaded it to their whiteboard. You can do that as well. So if this is our first time to kind of use whiteboard, I'm kind of giving you some time to get a feel of how to use it. Um, it's like honeymoon stage, right? So all of these are new to us. We're not experts in this one. I myself, I'm not an expert. So let's see what you guys will be more comfortable in using. Some students said they just used their LAUSD device and just toggled from one tab to the other. Some said it's easier if they're watching on the screen and they're using the phone on for their whiteboard. So it's up to you. Okay, I'm gonna see what you guys have for the class. Once you put something in the whiteboard, we can actually. There you go. I can see some of you try to doodle already. That's cool. So get a feel of how. Yeah, we type on the whiteboard the one that we struggle with. Sure, no worries. I would love that actually, just so we can talk about it. I did not even think of it that way. Yeah, and if you're not comfortable, I can actually hide the names also on the whiteboards if you guys don't want your names to be displayed. Yep. All right. I can see that you guys are writing, the problem that you chose. That's cool. Okay. And then later on, I'm also going to show you, um, yep, another hack or shortcut that we could use. Okay. Nice. Okay, I do hope that you get comfortable using this whiteboard because this is my only chance to kind of see your solution. Nice. Okay, some of you are typing, some of you are writing. Cool. A student earlier uploaded a picture of her paperwork. Like she took a picture. I didn't even know that you could do that. So she said, "Oh, miss, I just took a picture of my paper and uploaded it to your whiteboard." All right. Whichever works, right? As long as we have a chance to like interact with each other and make it feel, classroom like. Nice. Okay. And if you ever need a calculator, I'm going to share a link in the tab. The good thing about this calculator, or in the chat, the good thing about this calculator is you can toggle between a decimal and a fraction. So it's called decimals.com scientific. You can use that as well. And the good thing, one thing I like about that calculator is if the answers are not in decimals, if they are in fractions, you can actually change your answer to fraction form in an instant by just clicking a button. All right. Okay. So this is how your classmates are doing solving proportions. But let me just clarify some hacks, some shortcuts that I would suggest. Nice, Ricardo. I can see you're exploring with that drawing tool. Okay, so let me go back to Oh, your whiteboard isn't writing. Okay. Oh, honey, you know what? I'm sorry to say, but I don't also know how to fix it remotely. But how about um like you clear everything and then you start all over again? Well, that's my, last resort when something doesn't work for me. Okay, I'm gonna go to another screen for now and let me just show you one thing. So I don't want to teach you something that you know already because I can tell from your whiteboards that most of you know how to do it. But for those who are struggling a little bit, let me just share some hacks. Some frequently asked questions. How do we know whether we go from, left to right first or, bottom to the top? But that's a good question. And those questions are valid. And my hack for that one is I normally start with, this should be writing. I normally start with the pair that has a variable. And the reason for that is if I start with that, I can actually keep the variable on the left hand side. And when we write our answers, if you were with me in Algebra 1, I was very heavy. I was very heavy with this one. All answers must be in standard form, meaning like the variable on the left hand side. Okay, it's not because I'm just picky, but in standard tests, um, we're just kind of realigning our instruction to what you will see, in future assessments, especially now that if we don't have district tests, some colleges are planning to require entrance exams in the future because they took out the SAT requirement and stuff like that. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the chat yet. Give me one sec. So as I have mentioned, it's better to kind of start with that pair that has a variable. So 30 times c is equal to, and then if you take note of what I'm doing right now, I'm not using a calculator to kind of multiply 23 and 120. In fact, I'm just going to keep them that way. Why? Because if I don't have a calculator, there's a way to reduce the number, right? The 120, you can divide it. Since we want to get the c by itself in algebra, we have to divide by 30. And by not multiplying these, even if I don't have a calculator, I can easily reduce the numbers, right? So I know 120 can be divided by 30, and that's 4. And with or without a calculator, I can do this in my head, right? Okay, so that's one technique that I can share with you. Now, if in number 3, you know that this pair has the variable, then start with that and put that on the left-hand side. And then you do this pair over here. I'm going to check the chat in a little bit. Just be patient with me because I'm using only one screen and sometimes opening more screens just slows down my computer. Okay, and then from here, you could just divide both sides by 72. And what if, this does not divide that exactly? So what we can do now is maybe we can find, a common divisor. Like what number can divide 156? Can also divide 72. So you can start by lowering down each number. Let's say, oh, divide that by 2 and then divide this by 2 also. Or, oh, I can divide this by 8 because 48 is 6 times 8 and 72 is 9 times 8. So you can do that. If I divide by 8, that's 6. If I divide by 9 or by 8, this is 9 and so on. And then you can find another divisor. So that's my point in not multiplying them all together. So those are just some of the techniques that I wanted to share with you, not necessarily teach you how to do that, but I'm pretty sure in Algebra 1, solving proportions was one of your lessons. Okay, I'm going to check the chat. Give me one sec. Um, Still bugging out. Try and draw the line. It doesn't complete. I know, right? So it could be a system slowdown. So be patient with that. When I logged into our Zoom, I had to try it 5 times before I could successfully log in. All right. So now that you've seen some hacks, shortcuts, and your classmates' whiteboards, I do hope that you will be more comfortable and confident when you use your attempt number 2 in Schoology, right? So I'm gonna leave this um, whiteboard for now. Actually, I can save it as a PDF. Is there anybody else writing? Okay, I'm gonna give it some time. Okay. Um, I'll go back to this one later if you're still trying before I close it. Okay, so now let's go back. I'm back to week number 2 in Schoology. If you could please follow along so we don't get confused. I'm going to let you open another file and another online tool that we will be using today. All right. So next one is open L1.1, points, lines, and planes. I hope I did not forget to attach the graphic organizer. So I'm opening L1.1, points, lines, and planes. Okay. To this assignment, there should be a graphic organizer that looks like this. Opening. And somebody asked earlier about the digital notebook. So this file eventually must be added to your digital notebook. And if you guys have any confusions about how to combine this with the digital notebook, we will be working on that on Monday. I will be meeting you Monday next week, right? Because next week Monday is even day. So I want to spend that Monday time on doing the um, you know, the non-content stuff. Okay, so this is what you will be filling out today. Once you open it, you can actually type in it. Okay, you can type, you can screenshot another tab and insert it here as a diagram. It's up to you. But the expectation is at the end of the period, you now have or you now know what a point, line, plane, um, segment, ray, and opposite rays. You should know what they are and you should know how to write or give them names. You should be able to describe them here. So maybe while I'm writing, you can type them here already. And then I will be making you use another website where you can draw some diagrams. Okay? All right, so I just want to make sure that you guys are ready with this template. All right. So if you're ready with that template, I'm going to type in another website that we will use today. It's geogebra.org/geometry. And I'm going to share that in the chat as well. So it's okay, Jacob. You know, um, when I'm not at my best, pardon me, like when my internet is not at its best, forgive me in the same way as I will understand, whatever is going on from your end because we don't have control over this, unlike when we are in the classroom. Okay. So we just have to be, gracious and patient with each other. All right. So this website is geogebra.org. Maybe bookmark this in your Chromebook so every time you log in to your Chromebook, it's there already. Just click on that star. And the good thing about this is whether you use another computer, all the bookmarks, you saved under your account will automatically open in another computer. Okay. All right. So let me just clarify what we're doing. I will be discussing the 6 terms that I mentioned and what are you supposed to be doing? Either your thank you. Uh-huh. So thank you so much for answering that. And we can have more questions on that later on or on Monday. Okay, so right now, I'm going to be starting with the first one. Sorry for that ding sound. Every time that I change color or font or anything, you will hear that. Okay, so the first term that I'm going to discuss is a point. So whatever I'm talking about, whatever we're writing here, you're either writing on your notebook or writing in the graphic organizer if you want to go digital right away. So it's not like double work for you. But if you're writing on your paper, don't think that, oh, I'm going to transfer them. No, you can also take a picture and then just upload it to the slide that I shared with you. Okay, whichever you're more comfortable with. Okay, so what is a point? So a point is a dimensionless spot or dot in space. There you go, dimensionless because imagine a pencil. Oh, sorry about that background noise. So the thinner your pencil lead is, the better. That's a better representation. Can I just have a physical one? Yeah, that's fine. You can have like a physical notebook, um, and and you can upload a picture of your notebook later on in the digital notebook. Okay, now how do you name a point? A point is named as such. Let's say point A. So in other words, you use a capital letter. So this should be capital. All right. So how do you draw a point? Um, I want you to be familiar with this website. So if you can see my mouse right here, go to the point tool and then just click anywhere on the white screen. By default, it follows alpha order when it's naming the point. So you have A, B, C, and so on. So when you're drawing your own point, I'm sorry, you could just place like a dot and then give it a capital letter name. Okay? Okay, I'm going to give you like 30 seconds to either jot this down, take a picture if you think I'm too fast so you can catch up later. Okay. Now, in order to show more tools, you click on more, and I did that already. And if you want to delete certain objects, you can draw a rectangle around them. Okay. Like what I'm going to do now. I'm going to draw a rectangle so I can delete everything that I wrote. Okay. Oops, did it work? It should work. I probably just, yeah. Or you can click on the delete button and delete them one by one like this. Okay. Now I'm going to use my writing tablet's eraser to do this so it's faster. Okay. So that's what a point is and how to name it. Next, let's talk about a line. Oops, I forgot to put back my eraser. Okay. So I know a line is straight, but we define it as an infinite set of points. There you go. Arranged in a straight pattern, of course. And we normally draw a line by using 2 points. So, for example, if I want to construct line AB, I use 2 capital letters and then put the double-headed arrow. If you forget the double-headed arrow, that's wrong, and I'll explain later why. So now try to use the line tool and draw line AB on your screen. So click anywhere so that your first point will show. And then if you hold and then release like this, the second point will show as well. Now, the two letters can be interchanged. So naming a line is commutative. Remember in algebra, the order in which the two letters appeared does not actually matter. However, I'm going to get my point tool. If I place another point somewhere, between does not necessarily mean in the middle in geometry. Okay, if I place a third letter between A and B, or maybe another letter to the right of B, then I can name this line by choosing any 2 points. So let's say I can have line AC, line BC, or line CD, and so on. So in other words, you could just pick any 2 points. Okay. Now, my challenge for you is, okay, so given any number of points on a line, given n points on a line, how many ways can you name it? Okay, and that will be my challenge homework for you guys. So look it up, or maybe you have discussed it in your previous class in middle school. That would be nice. Um, yeah, or maybe to research on that. Okay, that's one of the lessons in statistics that's actually related to geometry. So I want to make sure that you are familiar with that in case in your senior year you will take up AP stats. Okay, I'm going to give you 6 seconds to take note of this, and then I'm going to start to erase. Yes, honey. For the description, you could say it's named by using a capital letter or like a dimensionless spot in space. So I would strongly suggest how to name it. You put it in the first column where it says notation. Notation is just a fancy way of saying how do you name it or how do you give it a name. And then the description, yeah, uh-huh, okay. And then in the description, you could say dimensionless spot in space or infinite set of points for a line. Ricardo, I'm so sorry if my handwriting is sloppy, but I'm going to read it for you one more time. The challenge is given n points, so n means any variable number, it could be 10, 11. Given 100 points on a line, like how many ways can you name it? Yep. Okay. All right. Does that did that make sense? Okay. All right. Cool. Alrighty. So thank you for like putting yourself on mute mode. That will be nice. Um, or I'm gonna like I know. Okay, I'm gonna put everybody in mute mode first and not allow you to unmute yourself because there's too much background noise. Okay, so as I was saying, you could put this in the description. The ways of naming could be in the first column, and then you can take a snapshot of your GeoGebra sketch and put it in the third column. I'll give you like 6 seconds to do that. Kamiya, mommy's working. Can you please go to the living room? Thank you. All right. Oh, repeat the homework. Okay, it's right here, honey. Given endpoints on a line, how many ways can you name it? How many ways can you name it? It's just a challenge. Um, okay, we're moving on. Oh, let me just tell my kid to go to the living room. Honey, mommy's working, please, in the living room. Thank you. All right, so now let's move on. I'm going to erase this one. Um, the next thing that we will discuss is a plane. All right. Okay. So let me just delete everything that we've drawn. Delete, delete, delete. Okay. So now let's talk about a plane. Okay, so a plane is an infinite set of points again, just like a line. Okay, sorry for the handwriting. But it's now extending in all directions. So extending in all directions. There you go. So imagine if, you're watching the sunset, you're looking at the ocean. So that's a vast set of points, infinite set of points. And it's going upward, downward, to the left, to the right. And you can name a plane in several ways. Okay, so let's do this. I'm drawing a looks like a parallelogram, but just like what we said, by definition a plane is infinitely extending. There you go. Okay, so a plane can be named in three ways. The first one is by using any three letters, um, either inside the plane or capital letters that are written outside. Okay. Ate, can you please go to the living room with Kamiya? Because your iPad is too loud, Kamiya. Alternately, you can also name a plane by using like a small letter, normally written in script, written at a corner, any of the corners. Okay, so in symbols, we can write plane, PQR, or we can also write BCD. Maybe you're wondering how come I did not use the A, because remember you only need a minimum of 3 points for a plane. Or you can say plane and then small p. Now, which reminds me, sorry, when you guys are naming a line, sometimes there's also like a small letter written in script placed on top of the arrowhead. So in that case, you can also name it line M. I think they came up with that because when you're typing, some of us can put the symbol like the double-headed arrow on top, but some can't. So you can just type line and then use a small letter that's written above the arrowhead. All right, so that's what a plane is. I'm gonna erase so we can, talk about the last three ones. Um, okay. Right. So now let's talk about a segment. What is a segment? Let me read the chat. Can you go over point again after the lesson? Sure, honey. Yeah. Okay. No worries. All right. I'll wait. Okay. I'll give you like 10 seconds, and I'm gonna carry my little one also to the living room because I know the background noise is also bugging you. Give me 1 second. Okay. Go inside and take it out. Come on, go. It's too loud. I'm gonna take you outside. Okay. Help her. I didn't finish one. Yes, a line segment, honey. Uh huh. Oh, I'm so sorry, Jacob. You mean the plane? Okay. Let me get back to that in a while. Okay. All right. Yes. So now, what do you know about a line segment, Devin? All right. Yes, line segment. That's what we're gonna do next. So, yeah. A line segment has a starting point and an end point. That's cool. All right. So, in particular, and in addition to what Devin said, a line segment is a subset of a line that has two endpoints. Two endpoints. And isn't it ironic that both of them are called endpoints, even though one is the beginning and one is the end? Right? Okay, so if you look at my screen over here, if you click on the segment tool and then click anywhere on the white screen and then hold and drag and then stop somewhere, there you go. So you have a line segment AB. A line segment has two directions. Awesome. It could either start from the left and goes to the right, or from the right and it goes to the left. That's a good input, Jacob. And because of that, I think the way you explain it, Jacob, makes the way of naming a line segment very explicit. So when you name a line segment, you either start from the left point, which is A, and then go to the right and put the bar on top, but no arrowhead. So that's the reason why you have to make sure that if it's a line, you put the arrowheads. If it's a segment, you don't put the arrowheads. And just like what you said, you can also start from the point on the right and then go to the left. Okay, but when you're naming them, that only counts as one because they both refer to the same line segment. Okay, earlier I mentioned if there's a third point on the line, somewhere between the other two, then you can use that point to name it, right? But in naming a line segment, when you name a line segment AC, it's only from here to point C. So you're not counting that anymore. So that means that's a shorter line segment than the first one that we were naming. Let me pause and read the chat. It can be infinite. Actually, it is still an infinite set because we cannot count how many points in between, right? Um, so a line is infinite, a segment is also infinite. Yeah, but just like what you said, it only goes from here to the right and stops there, or from here to the left and stops there. Unlike a line, it goes, left and right or up and down, right? Okay, so that's a segment. I'll give you like 10 seconds maybe to copy if you need more time. Okay. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. My third grader counted down for you. All right. Okay, so I'm going to delete all these so we can write the next one. Okay. We got two more, race and opposite race. Okay. So let's do race here. Okay, array is a subset again of a line that has only one endpoint. There you go. So it also just extends in one direction. Ooh, that sounds familiar. One direction. All right, so it extends in only one direction. So how do you name it? Let's say I have an array over here. Yeah. Let's say this is point A and this is point B. Okay, so to name this array, you cannot commute the two letters. So you have to start from the beginning, which is A, and go to the other letter to the right, which is B, and you have to put a bar on top with a single-headed arrow. So the things you place on top of the two letters, like they matter. They are important because it could be a line, a segment, or a array. It looks like a line segment. Yes, it has restrictions because you have to follow where it goes. So we can't go either left or right. You have to go right only because the arrow is pointing to the right. So you can think of it that way. And also, if I put another point over here, let's say C, I can also name that ray AC. Okay, so these are two different ways of naming the same ray. I cannot name it though as ray BC. This is wrong. Why? Because you changed the endpoint. So you always have to fix. So this endpoint here must be fixed. Okay. So what makes ray different from opposite race? So for opposite race, I'm gonna put it over here because we still have space anyway. Okay. First, they must be collinear. Now, what does collinear mean? The prefix co means same. The root word line, okay, so they have to be on the same line. In other words, they have to be forming a straight line. Okay, they also share an endpoint. Okay, so how do we draw opposite rays? Let me draw one going to the left. Let me highlight the endpoint. Let's call that A. Let's put another dot over here. So when you're drawing a ray, you have to have a minimum of 2 points. Okay, now the other partner has to go to the other direction. That's the only way possible so they can be collinear or on the same line. And I cannot give that a different letter because they have to share an endpoint. Guys, mommy's breaking, remember? Thank you. All right, and then you have to put a letter over here, let's say point C. Okay, so C has to be collinear with A and B. Okay, so when you're naming them, they would have to start um, with the same letter, which is their endpoint. There you go. So these are opposite rays. There you go. All right. So let me read the chat. Nice. Um, two opposite rays form a line. So pretty much, if you kind of split a line into two, you would have two different rays. That's a good question. Which reminds me, why do we have to say that they have to be collinear? So what happens when you have two rays, excuse me, sharing the same endpoint, but they don't form on a straight line? So see what happens here? What do you call the green one that I just drew? So what do you call something like this? Excuse me. They have a common endpoint, but you know they're not forming a straight path. So what do you call that? Anybody? Starts with A, ends with E, a five-letter word. Hmm. A line. Try again. An angle. Good job, Ori. Yep. Okay, so if the rays are collinear, they form opposite rays. But if the rays are non-collinear, there you go, non-collinear, then that means they form an angle. Okay, so, and I promise you I'm going to go back quickly to a point. A point is a dimensionless spot in space. There was another one earlier that you said you didn't copy, so dimensionless spot in space. And you can name it by just using a capital letter next to it. A plane is, infinite set of points, extending in all directions. Okay, extending in all directions. Okay, I don't know which part of it you missed, but I'm screencasting. Remember, so after we log out later, it it automatically gets uploaded to my YouTube, and then I share the link in your Schoology. All right. Okay, so those are the things we have to talk about today. Now we're gonna have some practice. In your week 2, we will have a worksheet, and of course, it's also digital. I'm not sure if you've tried using Kami with your other teachers. Tomorrow, I have to like lock the bedroom next time because they're done zooming, so now they're all here. Okay, I'm going to make this published. There you go. All right. It's 1.1 extra practice points, lines, and planes. So if you guys open that link or Schoology assignment, it will take you to a worksheet. I would love if you can, I don't know if it shows on your screen, but there should be an option that says open with Kami. I don't know if it lets you do that. Can you try? Oh yeah, so there should be something like this. Open assignment with Kami. All right. Now, if you open that assignment with Kami, you can actually annotate that PDF. You can write on it. Um, yeah. So if you guys were with me last year, my worksheets last time, a lot of you did very great in doing that. Okay, so you can annotate with Kami, you can draw, you can type in a text box, etc., etc. Let me just try it here. Okay, we don't have any Delta math homework for geometry, but this will be your IW or your independent work / homework. Okay. All right. So let's see. What you're gonna do is to answer all of these. All right, and then you're gonna hit submit. Okay, so that will be your independent work. Like, look at the questions right now. So because we still have, we have time for a little bit of questions. I'm going to chat. Okay. All right. There's no new questions in the chat. Okay. All right, no need to have. I don't get the option for this. Ooh, okay. So, like in your screen, it doesn't show you this. Um, Let me see. For participants, I'm gonna allow you now to unmute yourself. It's easier. Okay, there you go. You can now unmute yourself if you have questions. Hi, honey. Okay, you got it, Jacob. No worries. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw my screen when I was opening it. It took like what 6 to 8 seconds before it loaded. So I know. Okay, let me read the chat. So I'm not. Okay. I have Cami because Miss Baker told us to install it. Cool. So it's an extension. There you go. All right. Thanks, Christopher, for sharing that, and Abraham. So you gotta install it as an extension to your Chrome, right? And then if the link doesn't show here on top, you can actually click on this little extension button and then make sure that you pin it. See? So maybe you have downloaded it, but it's not pinned to your or to the top or where to the browser, etc. So you could just pin it. So anytime, yeah, cool. So anytime you can access it. There you go. All right. Okay, let's go back to that worksheet. Do you guys have any questions about anything in particular? So in this worksheet, there's no one unique way to answer them. You get what I mean? Let's say, for example, give two other names for line CD. Okay, so an example. Yes, honey, you can turn it in a file and school. Yeah. So for example, line CD can also be named by interchanging the two letters, right? So you can switch them. And at the same time, you can also use that small script letter that's near the arrowhead. Okay, so you can type that in. Um, Here, when you sketch the figure, you can actually, use the drawing thing. Yep. All right. Mhm. For example, line K in plane M. So you could draw like a parallelogram like this, and you have to name it like line M. You gotta put If a plane is named by one letter, you gotta put it at a corner, but inside, in the interior, not outside. Okay. The difference is, if it's inside, it's the name of a plane, but if it's outside, it's the name of the corner. And then you have to put a line K inside that one. So let's do line K. There you go. It's a line, so you have to put the arrowhead, and it's named by one letter, so you have to place that small letter near the arrowhead. Now, that's a sloppy K, but mhm. Okay. And be careful with this one. That's a segment. That's a ray. Okay. There you go. All right. I'll stay online for 4 more minutes if you have questions. I want to help. Um, I think it was Mario. Mario, you were asking about the digital notebook, right? Can you please unmute yourself if it was Mario? Okay. So, yes, I'm going to. Okay, sure. So, first, let's do the digital notebook because um, you need that like the whole year. It's like your digital project for the whole year. I'm going to send you a file in the chat. I'll just put it for everyone just in case another person needs it too. Okay, so once you click on the link, if it opens, you go to File and then make a copy of the entire presentation. Does that make sense? Yeah. However, if you only need to submit one slide for me, you just go to that slide and you click make a copy of the selected slide. Does that make sense? That's the only difference. But for now, you have to click the entire thing. All right? Cool. And then your first, how do you, on the what? Uh-huh. Yeah. Like this one? Like this one? Okay, so this is what you're gonna do. If you are in the notebook, you find that template, the green template, it looks like it looks like this, right? You know what? Since you just downloaded your copy today, yours has it already. But if you don't have it, you can duplicate a slide. Okay. You can duplicate a slide just like what I did. What happened, Marcelo? Did you get kicked out of the Zoom? Okay, it happened to me too. So, yeah, so you duplicate a slide, and then the thing that I want you to copy, like you copy everything from that. So just you see, I drew like a rectangle around it, and everything got, you know, highlighted. And then you go to copy, and then you go to digital notebook, and then you just paste it on that page. Does that make sense? So pretty much copy and paste, yeah. And feel free to, like, don't be scared of, don't panic when you do something wrong. You could just, delete any page, or if you messed up entirely, don't worry. If that happens, I'll show you how to get them from the master slides. Okay? So you can also decorate that, the cover. I'm old, so it's just like that. But you can be so creative about it. And let me teach you something about, I'll tell you something about it, all about me. This is my all about me page if you want to read up about me. Um, but you can make this your own, okay? So in your copy, you can, customize it. Just make sure you put your full name here and how you want me to call you over here, okay? And you can change the pictures. Those are my avatars. Does my avatar look like me? Okay. So, yeah. And then I strongly suggest you type your last name in the file name. So when we get to that point when you have to turn it in, that I would know that it's yours. Okay? Sorry, I haven't been reading the chat. I know, right? Oh, like here. See, yeah, there's a file name here on top, right? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah. So just type your last name. We were on. Okay. Oh, did I lose you? Where are you, Abraham? Hey, Marcelo. I know. It took me 5 times before I could get to today's Zoom. So, yes, Abraham, are you back? Okay. Okay. Yeah, if it's in your phone. Okay. So if you take it on the computer, every time you take a screenshot, there's something that comes out that say, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's faster, and you could just go here and click paste and you're done, right? But if you did it on your phone, you can also like save it in your drive so you can access it through the computer, whichever you're more familiar with. There's no one way to do it. It just depends on what's better for you. Oh, you have a little one too at home? Oh, okay. Yes. All right. Any more questions, guys? Okay, so I cannot. Yeah, go ahead, honey. Oh, before you talk, I cannot require you to stay logged in after this point. My live time is 40 minutes from 1:15. So if you need to go, feel free. If you have questions, I'm online. Yes, honey. Ariana. Yeah. Okay. Yes. You know what, Ariana? Oh, bye, Devin. Have a good one. You know what, Ariana? I took a screencast of this session. I do make a screencast. That's why I always, minimize your thumbnail videos. So I do have a screencast.